If you're a fan of the NBA, Austin Reaves is probably a man that needs little introduction. Over the course of this last season, Reaves garnered plenty of attention as he steadily attempted to climb the HERMOTHY rankings.
I'm him!
HERMOTHY.
I'm him!
HERMOTHY rankings in the NBA. With his steady and efficient play bringing ever more eyes his way, people have varying opinions on his shooting hoop exploits. Is he really a hooper? Or is he a whistle merchant? Is he getting unwarranted attention from that Lakers stimmy? Or is he really like that? Whatever the case may have been, he ultimately proved himself to be a valuable contributor as the season went along, playing a key role in the Lakers' advancement to the Western Conference Finals. After earning a 4-year contract to remain in LA, the question now is, where does Reaves go from here? Does he have another level to reach as a player? Will the hooper formerly known as AR-15 have a bigger target on his back than ever? In this video, we'll take a look at what Austin has shown on the court thus far, and some potential skills improvements that he may need to take his game to the next level. And speaking of gaining new skills, today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. Brother, you ain't posted a real video in a millennium. This might get 17 views. Hold on, did you want the microphone so they can hear you? Should have thought about that when you came up with the joke, bro. That segue was trash, by the way. Took way too long. You're right. You're right. Austin Reaves' most valuable contribution to the court over his first 2 years in the league has been his high level of efficiency in his role as a secondary play creator. He was flirting with a 50-40-90 campaign for the 2022 season until he decided to start missing more free throws in the month of February, and overall had the highest true shooting percentage of any guard in the NBA at 68.7%. The key to Reaves' high level of efficiency is his ability to consistently seek and attack advantages in multiple areas of the floor, particularly as an off-ball weapon. Reaves sets up his tremendous efficiency in other areas of the floor by first being a knockdown spot-up shooter. Reaves shot 40.3% on 159 attempts during the regular season and 46.7% on 60 attempts during the postseason. He is particularly good at staying shot ready along the perimeter, where he uses his good spatial awareness to relocate to areas of the floor that give him open looks. He can knock down shots moving left to right in the corners, and is particularly good at more difficult relocations, such as situations in which he is moving backwards from inside the paint to behind the three-point line. With the threat of his spot-up shooting causing more reactive movement from the defense, Austin gets plenty of opportunity to then weaponize his tremendous level of craft to finish plays as an attacker. Perhaps Reaves' greatest skill as a play finisher is his ability to leverage his tremendous change of direction skills in conjunction with his willingness to seek contact in order to get quality looks at the basket. Reaves attacks in fundamentally sound ways by attacking the defender's top foot and getting low to create a first step advantage, and then using body contact to ward off attempts to get back into play by defenders. Even in situations where Reaves catches the ball at a standstill and doesn't generate an immediate advantage, he uses the threat of the drive and offers jab steps to influence a defender backwards or sideways to open up a sliver of space for his drives. Although not the most physically imposing player, Reaves is excellent at leveraging his body to bump or dislodge defenders just enough to create space for step-throughs or behind-the-back dribbles, either for layups or floaters. Reaves' footwork and use of contact is evident in everyone's favorite or least favorite move of his, in which he initiates contact with a retreating defender in a driving situation, and then decelerates into a pivot. Retreating from the initial bump from Reaves, the defender is often in recovery mode, tries to get back into the play. Reaves either capitalizes off the initial space creation to get a clean look, or pump fakes to influence the defender forward and draw a foul. In non-contact situations, Reaves can deploy start and stop hesitation moves to get by defenders on the move. Reaves employed all the skills at his disposal to be a very efficient driver, albeit on limited attempts, coming in at third in the NBA in field goal percentage of players with at least 6 drives per game, shooting nearly 61% on 6.3 drives per game. Reaves' ability to create advantages shows up in his off-ball movement as well, as both a finisher and a playmaker. Reaves can often be found slipping into open areas in screening situations. Finding space either cutting along the baseline or settling into an open spot after a drive and kick out. Or curling off the screens into the paint. He is particularly good at making reads to the perimeter after receiving the ball in the middle of the floor. In addition to his abilities as an off-ball advantage attacker in the half court, Reaves is also consistently seeking advantages in transition and semi-transition situations, both as a finisher and a playmaker. If he sees a loose ball, he's getting his sprint on and filling the lane. If he collects a loose ball, he's looking up and launching it down court. Reaves is in the 89th percentile as a play finisher in transition, scoring 1.39 points per attempt. As the season went along, and particularly as the Lakers' backcourt changed in February, providing more space and interchangeability, Reaves was able to explore more of his utility as an on-ball creator and had increased success with increased usage. As a pick-and-roll ball handler, Reaves showed an ability to play with different levels of pace depending on the situation. He had a good deal of success attacking retreating bigs downhill, coming off the screens tightly and using push dribbles to get ahead of steam into a retreating big, where he could then use his preferred bumps and step-throughs to get a clean look at the basket. He also showed he could use pace to manipulate defenders with the threat of the pocket pass, stringing out the dribble long enough to use his big man's rolling gravity for finishes, whether it be with hesitations to get all the way to the rim, or probing the middle until space opened up for floaters. He also showed a feel for rejecting screens as well. Additionally, there was also some craft shown in situations where defenses tried more aggressive hedging coverages. Reaves showed a good level of pick-and-roll processing as a ball handler, making all of the various pocket passes, skip passes, kickouts, and dump-offs you'd expect from a competent pick-and-roll ball handler. Albeit on limited volume, Reaves was in the 90th percentile as a pick-and-roll ball handler during the 2022 season, continuing the trend of hyper-efficient play in a variety of play types across various game situations. So now that the details of Reaves' on-court successes thus far have been examined, we will now take a look at the areas of his game that likely need more refinement, particularly if the plan is for Reaves to be a major on-ball contributor going forward. Any discussion about increased ball handling duties for Reaves means that we must first talk about Reaves' ability to actually handle the basketball. While he's shown himself to be adaptable in several situations, there are a few things that could give him some trouble in the event that he starts garnering extra attention in the coming seasons. As we mentioned before, Reaves is a guy who likes to initiate contact as a ball handler to create advantages, but there are situations in which he opens himself up to be disrupted off the dribble by relying on contact to change directions to get by more aggressive defenders. The tried and true bump and change of course he employs in short area situations doesn't work as well against stronger and more active defenders, defending across longer distances with more dribbling. In straight up dribbling situations, Reaves can sometimes allow defenders a little too far into his space, where he doesn't have the necessary wiggle or strength to ward off aggressive attempts to take the ball. Even when he does get by initial defenders, he can still be susceptible to gap-held defenders reaching in to take the ball away after multiple dribbles, particularly if he's looking to draw fouls. As a passer off the dribble, Reaves can make the necessary reads you expect from a primary ball handler, but there's still going to be a period of figuring out which type of passes you can get away with. There are times when he is a little too ambitious to fit passes in closing windows, or windows that were not there to begin with. Reaves is also a big fan of throwing lobs, as we've seen in several transition plays to LeBron James, but the touch on these lobs can be erratic. One of the benefits of Reaves' role thus far is the ability for him to be more selective in his shot profile, particularly as a jump shooter. Even in spot-up situations, given his propensity as a driver and the gravity around him, the amount of jumpers under pressure he took were limited last season. In spot-up situations during the regular season, Reaves only took 10 shots that weren't classified as open or wide open. Although he can get his shot off quicker, his natural shooting motion is more of a deliberate process, with a slight pause at the top before releasing the shot forward. In terms of off-the-dribble shooting, percentage-wise, he found some success as an off-the-dribble shooter on limited attempts, but the underlying process suggests that there may be some discomfort shooting off the bounce. Now, there were a few possessions where he was able to adequately create space off the dribble into a quick release for three. But most of his successes as an off-the-dribble shooter from three were in situations in which he was allowed space to hop into his more deliberate footwork and lower shot gathering, particularly in situations where defenders were washed under screens. In the mid-range, while Austin doesn't necessarily need a mid-range jumper due to his ability to get to the rim and play the floater game to some extent, there are situations in which an off-the-dribble jumper would serve him well, particularly in eliminating some of the turnovers that are caused in part by passing up available shots. When he does decide to shoot in these situations, he rarely dribbles directly into clean looks, and often tries to dribble himself into a rhythm before letting the shot go. He also prefers to pull up going forward as opposed to left or right, which leads to weird shot finishes and landings. Now, while he is decidedly not deficient in these areas by any means, it is necessary to wonder how these things are ironed out, as he would likely gain more defensive attention in the coming years. All in all, over the course of his first 2 seasons, Austin Reaves not only showed that he belonged in the NBA, but that he also had the skills to be a valuable contributor to winning basketball. Only time will tell if the 25-year-old has another level of the HERMOTHY rankings to reach in his career. But given his rise thus far, counting him out would likely be a bad idea.